And it is 2:05, so we're going to kick off the meeting. Again, this is Juan Luis Carranza, Senior Communications Rep for the Air District, and I'm extremely happy to be here, hoping to have a great discussion, brainstorm, and crowdsource some great ideas in terms of outreach activities for our subcommittee. And so I'm going to pass it on to Jonathan, who's going to be our co-lead for the group. And so Jonathan, take it away.
Thanks, Jose. So we are going to do things a little bit differently. I know in other subcommittees, they do where everyone comes in and provides introductions of, their organizations and such. I think everyone pretty much knows all of us. The only people that are new are, of course, Jasmine, Hannah, Keone, Jose, thinking that's it. Yes, these are the four folks, five. I'm guessing. I'm looking at everyone. You guys, it's everyone's in boxes. If you guys could please introduce yourselves to the group, since you guys are technically new in this space. I'll turn it over to Hannah first to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, new in the space of coming from a different space, coming from the space of STEP grant and Stockton Mobility Collective. ILG is collaborating with the Third City Coalition and with SJ Cog on the Stockton Mobility Collective project, and we are co-leading public engagement component of that project. So I am coming into this meeting in that capacity. Should I turn it to Jasmine, Jonathan?
Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine Leake. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the managing director at Third City Coalition. And as Hannah mentioned, we are joining you all today as members of the Stockton Mobility Collective, which is part of the Sustainable Transportation Equity Project funded by California Air Resources Board. It's good to be with you all. Thanks.
Thank you, Jasmine. And let me turn over to Keone and Nancy Chang over from Stanford.
Hi, I'm Keone. And this is Nancy, and we're both master's students. We've been working with Jonathan and Matt Holmes on outreach strategies for 8617.
Yeah, that sounds great. Nice to meet y'all. We're working on this project for 4 weeks.
Nancy, we can't really hear you guys. If you can kind of get closer. I mean, I know y'all are in your dorm, but you're on mute. There you go. Oh, no, you're on mute still. Okay, nope, don't worry. Okay, cool. As you guys are doing that, just to give more context, Keone and Nancy, they are helping Catholic Charities in regards to the outreach. As you know, outreach is very important. And so we, of course, need help. All of us need help in finding innovative ways. And they've done a very good job of trying to really connect both all partners that are involved in the AB 617 to the TCC, the Transforming Climate Community. Sorry, I'm not going to do any acronyms from here on out. The Transforming Climate Communities and the Sustainable Transportation Equity Project, and finding ways where we can make sure we relay the information correctly and effectively. And so that's why they are here for me, to keep me afloat, keep me accountable, and also be able to get us really cool ways to get the word out there. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing, Jose, if you could please also provide introduction.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jose Marin. I am the outreach specialist for Valley Can in regards to the Tune In, Tune Up program.
Thank you, Jose. I think that should be it. So next on the list, we of course have the goals and objectives specific to SERP and outreach measures. Jose, Heather, did you guys have a presentation to share with us?
I think you mean Juan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to let Juan take it away.
Yeah, I don't think we have a presentation. It's more about infographic in terms of outreach channels that maybe we could explore as an outreach team. But I mean, I can start sharing some of that information right now. So I know as a group, we would like to explore some of the opportunities, some of those channels that are available for us to utilize as we continue some of the outreach activities for the group. So I will be sharing my screen in just 1 second here.
While Juan's pulling it up, the wanting to give you sort of, this is Heather, wanted to give you sort of some framework, the higher level stepping off point for the effort that we're all going to collectively be in for the next 4 years. And if you don't have it handy, Juan, I can pull it up as well.
I think I got it. Is everybody able to see it?
Yes, thank you.
I think we're missing the bottom one, Luis.
There we go. Full screen will help.
How about now?
It's thinking. There we go.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So just like Heather said, we're just brainstorming, talking with Jonathan, and just pretty much figuring out some of the channels that we could explore as a group, as an outreach group, in terms of, what are some of those challenges that we could potentially leverage. So obviously we have different categories. As you can see on the screen, we have public relations as one of them, social media is another one, traditional media, digital media, and direct outreach. So these are some of the outlets that we could potentially explore as a group. And so we wanted to offer these opportunities to the group and see which ones do you consider could be the most effective, especially specifically within your community. So in terms of social media, I am pretty confident a lot of people and a lot of the population is very active. I know for some of the groups has been quite effective, but again, this is just an idea that we can put out there to the group to see which ones do you think could be most effective within your community. In terms of traditional media, obviously we have the opportunity to leverage TV, radio, outdoor, which include billboards and cartels, print, newspapers, magazine ads, direct mail. So that's another traditional media outlet that we could potentially explore. In terms of digital media, I think Heather is a little bit more professional in this, a little bit more versed, but search engine marketing is one of the options, and then over-the-top media as well. Direct outreach, I know we've mentioned some ambassadors program as an option to do that, to conduct that canvassing and the grassroots outreach within the communities. So that's another great opportunity. Community showcase, I know we're coordinating to work with Jose Marin at the next Tune In, Tune Up program as a way to leverage that opportunity as well to get engaged and conduct some outreach to the community. So that's another great option right there. And then public relations in terms of press events, community events, and the like. So this is just a general idea of what's possible. Again, this is something that we'd like to propose to the team, and then let them run with whatever you think as a group could be the most effective to conduct some outreach within the community. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Heather.
Thank you for the framing. Juan, no, I think you did a great job. In talking with Jonathan in prep for this meeting, wanted to sort of just provide the outline of the things that are possible, right? Some of you, most of us do this kind of work anyway, but we at the district and whatever your ideas that get developed in this process, we just want you to know that the realm of possibility, this is sort of a stepping off point, and we wanted to sort of get your mind moving and then jump into the conversation.
All right. Thank you, Heather.
Douglas has a question.
Yeah, I know the things are very great, but the thing that makes lack of missing is an accessibility regarding interpreting and translation,
Yep, you're right, Douglas, 100%. Obviously, that's a big consideration, and we'll make sure we note that. Bilingual, multilingual, ASL, accessibility, all of those things for every population. Got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great point, Douglas. Yep.
Marco's got a question too.
Yeah. Hi. So when you're dealing with the social media, and I think that's the main one, how do you I mean, I understand well, no, I don't understand. How do you reach out to actual people other than them linking into you? Nextdoor, maybe I understand, but the others, do you have access to?
Great question, Margot.
Things?
Yes.
I mean, I don't do most of those things, so I don't know.
Exactly. Right. Yes, we definitely. So social media is this amazing thing that's changed the world, as we all know. But it's also quite valuable for those looking to share some messaging. Specifically, it has gotten robust enough that we can target very, very specifically within our ads that we place in social media. For example, we can target it based on zip code and sort of a geographic footprint. We can target it based on language and deliver things in the language that people use. We can target it based on age. We can target it based on what people search in their computer. We all have had the conversations about being around some kind of artificial intelligent device or saying something out loud, and then within the next 12 hours, you're on your phone or at your computer and suddenly there's an ad for that. Well, that works in our favor in this regard too. So we could even deliver ads to people that searched for wood, to buy wood for their fireplace, right? And then all of a sudden an ad pops up that's inviting them to change out their wood stove for gas. So yes, we have the ability to do a lot of specific targeted within social media. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
And the way it works, Margot, once folks go into the platform, it is filled with ads, right? There are definitely multiple places you might see it depending on conversations and the way you interact in the social media. So they definitely deliver ads different ways too. It's not all quite the same. Jonathan.
Yes, I think the more specific area that I've actually seen people get involved in is information from Nextdoor. But I think sometimes Nextdoor does become, there's a lot of miscommunication. And I think people like to put information out there just to put them out there, but not being clearly, it's not representative to what the real information is. But I think if it's coming from an organization like you guys, I've seen you guys post things before. I just want to be able to get an idea, how does that work for you guys specifically for Nextdoor?
Sure. So Nextdoor is an interesting one. It's the only one, I should say, it is one of the main ones that we're fairly limited. Our relationship with Nextdoor is as we're called a service provider, I believe. I just forgot the name. We tried, I think, 2 years ago to get into Nextdoor and could not. About a year ago, we were successful after we figured out the Bay Area had done the same. They were only letting agencies influence the audience or conversation in Nextdoor if they were emergency providers, a city, the sheriff's department, all of those kind of things. Because really, if you notice, if you're in Nextdoor, it really truly is the neighborhood of people in your footprint. That's how you get added. What we can't do and can't see are those conversations. We have the ability to deliver a message. We pay for the ability to deliver messaging to Valley users in Nextdoor. But what we cannot do is actually enter ourselves into their conversations. We would need you guys to do that or shape that information, but we can definitely deliver ads to a footprint. And if they comment on our communication, like, hey, tune in, tune up, for example, we can respond in form under those comments, but it's a little different. It's a little different. We're really, truly supposed to be providing kind of real-time air quality alerts and hazard-based information, and only technically get to spam our user base once a month with a promotional message. However, the caveat that I have learned, and we could do this with Tune In, Tune Up, If it's timely, if it's like the night before tune in, tune up, or the week of, I can say, hey, come out this Saturday, or, you know, we can share basic information. But I couldn't blast an ad to everybody that says, hey, trade out your wood burning device for a clean gas one. I can do that once a month. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And you bring up a lot of sort of like the pros and cons. On this sort of slide, we don't really see that. And so we think of like, oh yeah, this is perfect for all this stuff. But I think maybe if we have sort of the perspective from Valley Air District side on what are the limitations on some of it, because I'd hate for us to put so much focus into something. I mean, anything is great, but if we have just the context of like, you know, because it's a limitation, it shouldn't be something we should really focus on, it would really help us out.
Right. And we'll, as we go through this, Jonathan, we'll continue shaping that conversation for you. So back to the sort of the original pie in the sky, I do think, to your point, a little bit of all of these things might work. But yes, we're here to guide you and help you and support you on the outcomes that are going to best serve what we come up with as a group as to be our goals for outreach, you know, sort of measure up, whatever it is. Agreed.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, sort of?
Sure. This is Jose. I would assume that there is a budget for this focusing on the social media aspect. And so who would administer that budget and who would administer the social media pages? If it's not a question that has an answer now, I can accept, we'll let you know if we don't have an answer now.
So I definitely have a working budget to spend in AB 617. I don't have like a number figure for you, but I can tell you that once we get into a targeted amount and we know there's an event coming and it's a couple weeks out, I can give you like, hey, we'll spend $5,000 to do 2 weeks of social media ahead of your event. So I don't think, and I think that, you know, as we go back, that budget question comes up all the time. And as the funds become available, I wouldn't be too worried about the limit there. I think we'll just bring back all the things we propose and lay it out that way. We'll execute that. We've also got an agreement with the advertising agency that is very well versed, even much further than I am, in the tools and the way they work. And so we'll lean on them as well. We'll do it ourselves and we'll lean on that agency. And we might even, you know, lean on Jose and the others in the group that have their own ads going, depending on what it is we're talking about.
So the Valley Air District will be manning the posts and advertisings and what have you. Great.
Yes.
Thanks.
Now, Heather, would there be opportunities to being able to help if there are other, because realistically it also depends on your own followers too, in your Facebook groups or like your Facebook posts and or your Facebook page. Are there opportunities to being able to help other organizations be able to post an ad and get even more reach that way? Or is it just strictly?
So there's kind of two ways it works. If it to be very, very general, there's the paid stuff. We're paying for an ad, right? I'm paying actually for it to be in front of eyeballs that don't actually know my agency, right? I'm asking Facebook to show it to the world that maybe doesn't already follow me. That's actually the whole point. Our followers, the people that are aware of us, are going to see our organic post, just, hey, I'm telling you about something today, in their feed because they follow us and engage. So we will take the money and we will pay to deliver it to all those folks that maybe don't know that we exist. Does that kind of hone in on that?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yes, to answer your question, sorry, to close that loop, we are learning a whole bunch. I mean, we always do. I do think what we should do is start crafting messaging. And Juan Luis and I were talking about this. And all of you guys, like, I know I follow you, but if I don't, I'm going to go make sure right now. But the more agencies we can tag in some of our organic posting that draws in different audiences, that's also how we get shared, right? I tag your group, I tag Jasmine's group, I tag whomever, Jose's group. And Jose does this with us a lot. I have noticed a lot of activity in the district's Facebook social media profiles because of Valley Can. And so that cross organic partnered sharing is going to get us a lot of leverage too. So I think that at the very minimum, please make sure you follow us. We'll make sure we follow all of you guys. Douglas.
I think that is wonderful. What you guys did is covering all aspects of the social media. But a lot of people do not have all those type of features like Instagram is for a certain group, Twitter for it could be a professional or a politician, Facebook, for like for family, family well and friend, and Link is more like a professional for job looking. But for older people, I look at like your public relationship and an event. They like to go there to find information. As far as the billboard, when you see a bunch of when you see traffic go from one place and you see whatever means that you're trying to convey information, it's very sufficient for older people that may not have that particular knowledge of social media. So
absolutely. Recognize that too, Douglas. And part of this sort of, you're making a case for why there's a lot of pieces of this pie, because it's going to take the whole pie to reach the community. Yes, totally recognize that. Jonathan.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Douglas, in addition to billboards, what are some other opportunities that you've seen when trying to work with folks in older residents? What are some things that you've seen? Is it at community centers, or what would you recommend?
Most of the people that go to our older are old fashioned, so they usually go to the event or go to those community events and pick a flyer and look at it. Say, oh, there's a discount on weatherization, whatever, and that's how they go out to get the information from the event. And they go, but as far as like homebound, going from doctor to home, doctor to what the kind of. So I think that the mailing is a good thing. Like mailing the flyer to their house it's very beneficial as well as billboard, as well as where it has the lighting, it move a lot and it show all the information you wanted and contact, whatever. It's very proficient, for older adults, as far as that concerned. And that's how I see that happening from one transportation to buses to minibuses and all that stuff that goes through there a lot. Yeah, it works.
Hannah.
Hi, hello everyone. I just wanted to follow up on Jonathan's question and maybe ask Cynthia and SB and Ed, how do you think Stockton residents learn about the events? What is the best way to reach? I know we talked a lot about social media and advertisement. Douglas brought up good points that for some demographics, flyering and mailing may be effective. So what are you guys hearing in the community? What is the best way to reach the community, inform about the programs, for example, for Stockton mobility collectives, the electric cars will be coming into the neighborhood. Bike share programs will be coming to neighborhoods. So there will be a lot of outreach. So what is the best ways to reach out?
So what's been very effective for us, we just finished 2 of the GOTV outreach for the Get Out the Vaccine COVID for the last 6 months with the governor's office in UCLA. And so between our organization, EJCW and Todos Unidos, we had about 100 canvassers. So then we were out with both organizations, a total of 7 zip codes. And so then we were door-to-door canvassing, and then we were doing crowd canvassing. And that was most effective. Both of our organizations landed at the top in the state in terms of the numbers of outreach, vaccinations, what have you. So, and like I told Heather, we're trying to get those from our printer and PDF format. So we'll send those out that we had just shared with the state for our final reports. So that'll give you the numbers, locations. We did the same thing in our outreach efforts with the Integrated Regional Water Management District. And we were tasked with creating a task force, Disadvantaged Communities Task Force, as part of their Proposition 1 funding. And so that one was for the, that one was kind of broad, the whole like San Joaquin region that we had to, the greater San Joaquin region. And so for both of those, like those numbers, what have you, we have that. So it encompasses door-to-door canvassing, crowd canvassing. And like Douglas said, there's some certain locations where community members go. So then that's flyering. So you need boots on the ground for that. And so what we do is, we have the model where we train them and educate them on, you know, like if it's on get out the vaccine, or if it's on the electric vehicles, or if it's on, you know, the tune in, tune up event, whichever type of outreach that we're doing within the context in our environmental justice communities, we do the training. And then, and we know the area, this area like very well, like a lot of areas that people just drive by and they don't even know exist. So we have it all documented, what have you. And not only do they go out, but all of us that are on the management side, we've gone out there and we're from the communities that we're servicing. So then that way it makes it very effective in that manner. So that's how it's worked for us, because, you know, it's been helpful in the fact that we are from these communities. And so we do know all of those locations. So, so that's been very effective for us in terms of the model, but you do have to have the capacity to be able to onboard. And our promotoras or promotores, both are from, they range from high school age that we train. So like 16 with the work permit, all the way up to like our, you know, more seasoned ladies that are like in their like 70s and 80s. So, and they're all very effective. Many of them are bilingual in more than one language, Spanish and other languages spoken here in our city. AB 617 obviously is just the city of Stockton. So that's, so that in terms of getting that work done, it would be a lot easier, because like I said, we've been doing all San Joaquin County.
And SB, to your point, and to anybody like your agency, although you've laid the groundwork and have the very distinct recent experience, we are doing this exact concept. I should say rolling it out for our other communities in AB 617 currently for the implementation Fresno chapter. So hopefully, you know, we lean on you, learn from your model, but eventually basically put a mini grant out for Stockton community, which any of your organizations could apply for. And it would be a, you know, a fixed amount with tasks ahead, like flyering and canvassing and whatever the, you know, the given task is. So we hope to invest in that as well.
Okay, we'll go to Jasmine and then we have to move on.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted, SB, congrats on all the success that you all had with your recent campaigns. I wanted to just clarify, when you're talking about crowd canvassing, are you talking about at large events, or are you talking about places that just typically have large traffic or large groups, like say the flea market or the malls, or like, I'm curious to hear more about what those kind of events might look like, so we could better scope those out.
Yeah, there are events that already are in place where our community members whom we're trying to target attend, or, you know, shop at, or what have you. And so that those are the crowd canvassing events that I'm referring to. So exactly like what you were saying, and just depending on, like, specifically for AB 617, it's going to be within that area. So it's going to be specific to the target demographic, you know, as far as in this case, like we're trying to reach a specific audience, you know, so, you know, areas that we know that they attend, you know, so it could be, it's a wide range. It could be like, you know, just, it could be the laundromat, or it can be, you know, the flea market. It just, you know, depends. And you have to do like the ground truthing for that. And so like Heather said that, you know, we've kind of set that up and did a lot of the ground truthing, you know, in the past, what, 2 years, you know, just especially with COVID, a lot of people weren't out there willing to do that. But we were able to do that. And thanks, Jasmine.
Okay.
Jonathan, I have a question. This is Margot.
Yes, Margot.
Thank you, SB. That's pretty exciting that you're getting all that done. That's pretty amazing. Can I just ask, did they give you a sense? I'm assuming your people go out and they're talking one-on-one to people, and they go out with handouts as well. Do they find one method more beneficial, more useful, or both go together, or?
They go together. They go together, and they so they have materials with them all the time, and they're trained on the subject area, and then they adapt according to their own personality and how they communicate best. So we just give them, you know, talking points, what have you. And like I said, they are trained and have the education component, especially with the whole vaccination thing. That was very difficult because they knew what they were talking about. They were trained by the UCLA medical nurses on it, and they were, you know, in weekly meetings and trainings with them. But when you're out in the public, Margot, like you said, it's a whole another ball game, right? Because they're going to ask other questions. And so we had like best practices. So we checked in with them on a daily basis, kept track of it all through, like, you know, the Google Sheets. So daily they would put in positive, negative, all their experiences. So like we have all of that data collected, you know, for all of these zip codes. And so we made sure they did that before they checked out for the day. So they had a physical check-in and a physical check-out. And then because we have the electric vehicles, we were practicing the mobility of getting them out there through the electric vehicles. So then they understood everything that was, you know, was going on during this time. But you're going to encounter, you know, and you have to know how to be able to like assist them when they, you know, have certain roadblocks. And so them also sharing amongst each other this information was very helpful, because then they knew they weren't the only ones facing certain blockades, I like to put it in a nice way. I was really shocked by some of those, especially in Stockton, not so much in Lodi or outside of Modesto, but for the Stockton part, I was really taken back at some of the responses that they received. But, and that was this one's not going to be as tricky. That's like really heavy politically, you know, in terms of the whole vaccination. It was made political. And so they had to like, I mean, these folks are well trained now, you know, in terms of the adversity aspect of outreach.
Thank you, SB. Juan, please take it away.
Thank you, Al. Definitely great feedback. And so what I'm hearing is that sounds like in-person outreach seems to be most effective, especially hearing from SB and also Douglas. So great feedback indeed. So I think it would be great to move on to talk about some of the outreach measures that, you know, we have as a goal, you know, maybe just prioritizing some of those. And if we can, maybe just look into what do we want to focus our efforts on, and then decide which of those outreach channels do we want to explore as a group that could potentially be more effective to conduct some of those outreach ideas that we will potentially generate. I think you're muted, Heather.
I was just going to pull up, here, I've got it right here. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I can. Ooh, let me share the correct screen. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's always a gamble, right? Can you see our SERP? I'm going to zoom in.
Yes.
It's split across a page though. That's a bummer. Okay. So this is our major outreach measure, multilingual outreach to increase community awareness and knowledge of air quality. I don't think we put a second one, did we? Hold on, I'm gonna double check. No. In other communities, we had realized that ultimately, I think we ended up with 2 or 3 measures, but they basically all are the same encapsulated thing for outreach. So I just want to sort of bring you back to 2 points, really. We have the measure right there on the screen. that we want to tackle, and that could be in multiple fashion. But we also have all the other communities, committees rather, to support. So major measures that have been approved so far, we've got, yay, I'm gonna jump the gun, we've got one, but I digress. So for major outreach work, this is our function, right? This is our goal. But then that's just the first piece. The second piece being wrapping in all the needs of the rest of the committees. And Jonathan, I was gonna pose to you the other day and we never got to it. At some level, I'm going to imagine that a representative from this group might get to other outreach other subcommittee meetings to either weigh in, bring back to this group, or maybe that's a function of the main committee meeting. But I do realize that we are going to quickly have quite a few things on our plate that we at least can start with deciding what you would like to see in the general air quality awareness outreach, right? We've got the ability to start now if we really wanted to. Hang on just a second. Oh, wait.
Can I pull you off for just a minute?
Sorry about that. Had someone come in. And so we had talked with Jonathan about really wanting to run down the whole list of measures in brevity, but really we're probably not even there yet. I think we just get ourselves organized, and I was going to stop share and reshare, or can I go to a different page and show you right now? I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead. I wanted to tell you that we have a project plan approved that we've been waiting on. It really affects the planning that we're going to talk about next. But the residential wood burning project plan has been approved, which means we can start spending the dollars in your community to change out wood burning devices. Yay, that's huge. And I was going to show you the page. Can you see the page? Is my screen changing? No, you still see the original page? Darn.
We don't see any page.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. That would help. Okay, here, this one. Can you see that? The application. So this is where it'll all live. This is where, if you really need to get a preview of what's coming down the pipe, it's all going to start getting populated here. I have to fill the pending project plan still, but the good news is we've got 2 we can move on immediately. So keep that in mind, right? We will support all the measures in addition to the main outreach one I just pulled up.
Heather, can you please, oh, okay, never mind. I was going to ask if you could please zoom in for those who can't really see it.
Yes.
You guys can see that now? Okay, great. Thank you, Heather.
Well, I clicked on the charger grants too the other day, and are we putting out the message on those? I know they're for businesses. I know it's not residential at this point, but will we be involved in that?
Yes, 100%. So case in point, Margot, you know, enter, you know, project number 1, technically speaking. Obviously the goals of the committee will come out in what you guys are most interested in, but in front of you right now is the ability to start making a plan to hit up the businesses, maybe direct mail pieces to major businesses in you know, the footprint. But all those ideas are what we can collect here as a committee. And so, but that would be a finite plan, right? We'd get in the weeds and we'd come up with something very specific to that. We've got that in front of us right now, in addition to general outreach. Jonathan, what are your thoughts? Do you want to jump out with general outreach? General air quality outreach? My thought, and this is just a thought because this really comes from all of you guys, we just deployed community air monitoring, the first of your community air monitoring, which is also a very big win for us. And so I see as those start coming online, maybe we do a concerted, targeted in the boundary campaign with social media and direct mail pieces with a flyer telling people where to get this localized community air monitoring information. All of those kind of ideas are out there to be perused.
I mean, it's a good, I think that's important. I was under the impression the air monitors were still behind on schedule. And so I wanted to make sure we get all of them done.
Okay, so that's the other thing, putting it out there, right? You want them all in place before you start messaging. Exactly.
Yeah. Just because once people start telling other people, we'll find out the one air monitor that's not in
the one by their house.
It wouldn't be, and that would kind of give them a false impression. We really want to make sure it's all there.
That's all for this committee though, really, truly, right? The function and the desire and the interests that you guys bring to the table here and then take back to the collective group.
Go ahead, Douglas.
Okay, you know what? Also, just to add, I think it'd be great to have organization to be more at the contact with the community. It could be the Catholic Diocese to help with the community information, with the advocacy as well as the other organization to reach out to the community, and when they have questions, they already have what already been did in the what they need, whether it's training, whether it's information about what's going on with the air quality, the air monitor, or a new way of quality of a road or bicycle event, whatever it may be, to be a way of like a link to that, but also because I think that nonprofit organization do work well with community, very good too. Also, thank you.
Doug, to what SB was talking about, we will have to be very cautious about providing the education correctly for those organizations so that none of the information is construed. That does take time. So I think as long as we already have a list of those folks, so we mentioned the Catholic Diocese, Catholic Charities has the connection with there. As long as we make sure we get those folks that are willing to provide that referral system on things that we work with our clients, we will get that from it. But that's I mean, this is good conversation for what this subcommittee is about. I did want to mention, if we could go on to the next sort of, was there anything else, Heather, that you had to go over in terms of the SERP outreach measures?
I think just the collective getting us all thinking about it, where we have to get head, and we've got lots more ahead of us.
Okay, great. Anyone have any other questions in regards to it? The link was provided in the chat. Yes, SB.
I just wanted to add one thing, which was when we're providing the information out to the members in the community, one-on-one or through the crowd canvassing events, we're going to need to make sure that they're able to connect the person who is interested with whatever program we're promoting directly with the Air District. So whether that's going to be like through a phone or some kind of portal, something to facilitate the process, because since you have the person in front of you, you want to take advantage and get whatever information is necessary and directly connect them, and not have the organization collect the information of the individual. So kind of going back to like what Jonathan was talking about, like that's what's, I remember that part of it. That goes like, for example, for the COVID, it went from the state site making the vaccination, and we would help them with the appointment. And in this case, help them with the application, right? To make sure that they're connected directly. And so we're keeping track of that to make sure that there's follow-up, what have you. But as much of that in real time as possible is going to make it successful.
Yes. So I think Valley Air District, you guys have a point person when it comes to all this for the grants and the incentives, correct?
Essentially, we can craft the ability to capture that information, and that's kind of the scenario we were talking around. Kind of segues us to our next topic, as far as having some kind of flyer that we put together and can distribute it like Tune In, Tune Up. That gets you right to a website, and if it's not the physical person, SB's crew or our ambassadors taking it in, it's them maybe entering it in right there. If you think about it, we're all the same, right? The text, if I don't do it right now, it's not going to happen. So hopefully the call to action, and we'll design that flyer. I ran out of time to have a design here today, but we'll get it and we'll ship it out to all of the bodies here and make sure we get some feedback ahead of that event.
Great, thank you. I think that should be good for that discussion. I mean, we'll I mean, this is the first thing that's coming up. So we'll have next month another discussion in regards to specifics. But so far, we do have two things: the electric charging and also the
residential wood burning.
wood burning.
Yeah.
So we still have a lot of some of our other incentives that are still waiting. So we'll just have to be tuned in for that. I guess the next for Juan, if you could let me know based off the schedule, the next thing, wouldn't it be wrap up next steps?
Absolutely, we can do that. I think that could be totally doable. So I think the next steps would be trying to figure out what would be the most ideal. Actually, the Tune In Tune Up program, sorry, the outreach event with Jose Marin. So I think we're gonna give Jose a little bit of space to tell us more about the Tune In Tune Up event and the opportunity that we have on hand in collaboration with them. So Jose.
Hello. Yeah, I didn't want to interject while the group was discussing, strategies on outreach and what have you. Valley Can, we do this events for Tune In Tune Up across the 8 counties of the Valley, and we like to think they're very successful. We turn out the groups and the demographics that are difficult to reach. And I'll just share with you an overview of what how we do that. Thanks, Heather. You're always a good fan of Tune In Tune Up. But I responded in the chat that a lot of the events that never went away are those events driven by the community and that are not, attached to government. They're not attached to any other entity but themselves. For example, the religious events, the churches still kept on having their festivals. They're outdoors. They had some restrictions and safety and what have you, but those, never, they didn't stop. The sports events, like Espe is very familiar with the same communities I am here in Stockton. And, she would know, like, Southside McKinley Park, there's hundreds of soccer players that gather every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It's a perfect outreach opportunity, and then, community centers, the community centers that we target in San Joaquin County or Stockton. Prior to COVID, we're seeing, 100 to 200 families per, okay, Jonathan knows McKinley Park too. They were serving 100 to 200 families per week in additional resources, food, emergency food boxes, responses, and what have you. Well, now those numbers have increased to almost 1,000 in the different community centers. And, I can go on, and saying, like, for instance, the Sikh community, we have Stockton is a very high turnout for the Sikh community, and we have a strong alienation with the Sikhs in South Stockton, and there is a whole neighborhood that, matter of fact, they have their own drive, for the Sikh community. And so Valley Can focuses in all of the different aspects of reaching these communities to be able to turn out what you would experience come March the 5th, which I'm hoping everyone on this group gets an opportunity to come by, check out the event if you haven't done so in the past. I know some of you have participated in our events, but it's really, Valley Can's model is non-traditional outreach. We don't do really what other groups do. We kind of, extend and branch out differently. We have a large network of the unions for construction workers, that, that's who they see at 5 a.m, giving them instructions where they're going to work, where's the job site. So, part of that is their boss telling them, hey, you know, the event is coming. If you're having smog issues, remember, they're not going to come back for the rest of this year, or they're not going to come back, you know. So just giving you a little bit of the insight on how Valley Can extends the outreach. So March the 5th, we've extended the invitation to the AB 617 CSC committee to come out and experience what the event is like, research opportunities for future outreach, for future implementation that are under your SERP and are under your commitments to the AB 617 committees. No, I don't have a printed, I don't have a digital flyer, Jonathan, but when I'm done talking, I'll type up the link to the flyer, or maybe Espe could do that. I know she's real quick, or Heather too. Yeah, she just raised her hand. So someone will put a link directly to the flyer for the March 5th event. So a very popular event in South Stockton. Come March the 5th, people come very early in the morning looking for an opportunity for a free smog check. The big draw is, you know, people are going through whatever situation they are, out of registration status, they purchased a vehicle, they can't put it to their name, or whatever their situation is. That draws them to our event as early as the day before. People sometimes camp out for over 12 hours. We never encourage that. You know, that's a hazard, but again, we can't prevent people from doing whatever they'd like to do at will. We have the capacity for 500 vehicles. Last December, we did 470 plus vehicles. Just this last Saturday, we were in Bakersfield. We did exactly 400 vehicles. So a very popular event. And you're all invited to come. Really heavy activity happens between 5:30 and 8 a.m. So I know the challenge as we're planning for this meeting is to get the group there as early as possible, so you could really experience that drive of what makes this people turn out, what is the motive that you know, just get them to get there that early. And, you know, future opportunities are endless. I know there's been discussions of, can we do this? Can we do that? And I think this March the 5th event is like a door opener for future opportunities. I would really like everyone to join us on an observation mode. And, you know, we'll call it the mock-up AB 617 tune-in tune-up event, because I know further down the line, there's plans for funding a tune-in tune-up strictly under the AB 617 proposal. So look forward to seeing you there. Let me know if there are any questions. I know we're short in time.
This is Heather. To be clear, Jose, you're providing a booth space for us, a 10 by 10 booth space. There'll be tables and you know, we'll have any kind of information that the district can provide, you know, ample information, and Juan will be there that day. But yeah, a formal spot. But to Jonathan's point from earlier, probably not standing behind the table, probably physically active and out at the line and seeing the people and having the conversations. But I was still hoping that we could get a flyer to every participant, even if they aren't in the footprint of the boundary, like they've come from out of the area. I still think we tell them all, right? They're going to know somebody that might live there, or that's our organic reach. Is it possible to get them into the packets, or?
It's not a problem getting a flyer to the participants. Okay. You know, I guess I'm part of this committee, so I think it calls for another discussion on what do we want on that flyer, you know? And I think, you know, maybe we could email back and forth or follow up on that. But yeah, we could definitely have, you know, we'll have CHP cadets out there, so we could have one of the cadets with flyers. You could have the flyers as a group, and, you know, it's an opportunity to chat briefly with the folks. I just sent this morning the traffic diagram for Jonathan. I don't know if he would like to put it up on the screen. And I can explain it, or if you'd like to share it out to the group and get back to me if there are any questions. You know, we do have a COVID prevention plan in place, So everyone gets their temperature, everyone gets their temperature, signs a waiver, but for traffic safety purposes, everybody wears a traffic vest, you know, especially if you're going to be walking around the event. And those are just the three things. I don't know if you had shared any of this, Jonathan, with the group, but we'll follow up on those things as we get closer. Open for questions, Mr. Vigil.
Yes, Jose, can you let us know when? Because now I know during the temperature it gets really hot, and for people who out there are very prevalent to heat exhaustion, and make sure that the event is in the best month to have that event sooner than later, last minute. You know what I'm talking about when it comes to the heat. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if I may just piggyback on Mr. Douglas' comment, our events are planned to go very early. So, you know, even if it were 110 degrees in mid-July, our event is done by the time it gets like 85 degrees. So not a big concern. However, we do have a lot of fans out there. We, you know, in any essence, you know, where possible, we put shade. We've even installed shade structures for participants. But this was like 5 years ago. Heather, I don't know if you were around. Sorry, I don't remember, but we used to do our events up till 3 o'clock. Now our events finish at 12 noon. We put 400 vehicles by 10 a.m. So
I attended a Fresno event, and there was a huge tinted area, right? The testing area was tinted, and yeah, about 5 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, we used to go, our event was from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yes,
we figured, you know, if we move it, like reduce the time, increase our speed in testing vehicles, we would be more efficient and get people in and out, which everybody likes to save time. So I'm sorry for the translator, because of the shortage in time. I have been speaking faster than I usually do.
Thank you, Jose. It just means you love this work, and that's what we like to have in the subcommittees. People who love this work want to share it to others. I do apologize for the time going over. Jose, to answer your question, there is going to be next week a scheduled meeting for logistics. Please raise your hand. I'm going to do old school style. If you are interested in being part of logistics of the actual event for this thing, since this technically is not an AB 617 sponsored event, it is just a pilot. And so this is going to be outside of a thing. Douglas said, raise your hand. Is there anyone? Okay, SB, I did send. Okay, there you go.
Ed too.
Okay, Ed, can we please make note of this? I lost Brianna, so she don't have my note taker. Thank you, Juan.
Jonathan, what do you know what day can it be? Before I raise my hand, I don't know if it's going to be scheduled, match my schedule. Is it going to be already set already?
Saturday, March 5th, Douglas.
I think he's asking about the meeting.
Oh,
the logistics meeting.
Yeah, next week. Oh yeah, he does have a date in mind. Hang on, I think he's looking it up.
When was it?
I did see that actually.
Well, I got an invitation for it.
Yeah, when was it?
The 24th.
The 24th. Yes, it is. The 24th from 12 to 1. 24th at noon.
And that's for visiting, like to watch and to see how everything's going, the protocol, right, John? That's a misunderstanding, Jose?
No, so this is the boring part. This is literally talking about where everyone's going to be located, what's going to happen, and then this is just virtual. And then from there, we'll hopefully get people to be prepared for next week.
May I clarify a little bit for Mr. Douglas? So on the 24th at 12, it's like a logistical planning meeting. And then the actual event will be March the 5th at the fairgrounds in Stockton.
Okay.
So right now we're planning for the 24th at 12.
Okay, the 24th I could do it, but not the 5th. I have a meeting right there. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Our last thing I did.
Oh, you muted.
Sorry. Our last thing on the schedule is trying to make sure we get this thing scheduled for the next meeting next month, next subcommittee meeting. Does this time and this day work for everyone so far?
I was just thinking the same thing.
Leonard, does this work for you? I know you came in. Is this a bad time during this thing?
The 5th of this month is a bad time. I didn't realize we had things already planned for the 5th. I don't see a problem. I may not be able to make it on the 5th.
Okay, that is a 5th. That's no worries. We're talking about just the subcommittee outreach meetings. Does this usually this time work for you, or this day of the month and the time?
Are you saying the 24th?
What
date did you say?
Every third Friday.
I will bring up, sorry, a quick thing. Our district, I just looked at the calendar, had a couple months. Generally, it's not a conflict, but our district is off every other Friday. So eventually down the line, we might come up with a conflict where we're off on a third Friday.
That's right.
But March 18th, next month's third Friday does work.
If it's not standing for like
you wouldn't want to be with us for an hour on your day off. Come on. We're planning for something great. We're improving the world.
2 to 3. You know
to
what?
Heather's point, like it doesn't happen until like until the summer. So if we want to continue with this third Friday for the next couple months and kind of see how it goes, that's totally fine too.
Correct.
Yes, let's please keep that.
Okay, so for everybody, that's March 18th, and we're going to say 2 p.m. again, yes? March 18th at 2 p.m. for this next committee meeting. That is the next formal meeting like this, not counting the planning meeting for the event we talked about, which is next week.
Ed, you had something? Sorry.
No, I was just going to beg for 1 hour earlier, but if everyone else is good for where we're at, I'm fine. I'll make it work.
Thank you, Ed.
It works for me also.
Thank you. Go ahead, Juan.
And just to confirm, for the next meeting, for the logistics planning meeting, I do have SP, I do have Ed, and Douglas is not going to be able to make it, right?
Since he's not going to be there for the 5th, right. There would be no
reason.
reason.
Do the actual event, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And Cynthia, is that a hand for also participating?
Yes. Yay! Teamwork.
Okay, I think this should be good. We are over.
And,
we are definitely 7 minutes over.
I will have these for those that work the event, per Jonathan's request. Sorry, I should show you my shirt. My long shirt. I don't know if you could see it.
Yes.
Do we send you sizes, or are they one size fits all?
I was gonna guess and give him a few extra, but yeah, you can send me your size. What's your size, Jose? Put you on the spot.
Okay, everyone. That's it, correct? Nothing else. There's nothing we missed. We will share the notes out. Brianna was able to provide the notes, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Jonathan.
I am going to keep the call open. You are all free to go. We have promised a quick conversation with Keone and Nancy if they were interested, and Hannah if she wanted to stay around. Just some general chit chat about Stockton outreach. You all have other commitments, no worries, but we're going to hang on.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Heather. Before, what size is the shirt that you have?